Statement there in Strasbourg. Well, we can speak now to Raheem Kassam, a former advisor to Nigel Farage and one of Stephen Wolf's rivals to be the next UKIP leader. And he joins us from Washington. Welcome to the programme. Raheem, UKIP have lost a leader after only 18 days in Diane James. The party's MEPs cannot meet, it seems, without some sort of fight breaking out. And your biggest donor, Aaron Banks, has said the party's at breaking point. Is he right?
Yeah, I think the party has some serious existential crises going on inside. I don't think it's anything that it can't recover from. And I also would point out that this isn't unique to UKIP. I mean, you know, you've seen Labour MPs, Tory MPs having brawls in Parliament before. It's not a good look, but it's nothing the party can't move on from.
The party chairman said UKIP will hold an investigation into what happened, which is hardly surprising, into the altercation between Stephen Wolf and the party's defence spokesman Mike Hookham. Should they both be suspended from the party in your mind?
I don't know. You know, we don't know enough about what happened at the moment to make those sort of calls. And I think anybody who is trying to assign blame either way or
that's what I mean.
Speculating.
Get rid of both, suspend both of them.
Yeah, but why? I mean, you don't know what happened yet, so let's just wait and see what the. I think the point of it is this, you know, UKIP is searching for a leader, UKIP is searching for a raison d'etre at the moment, and I think there are several things that the party can be doing and should be doing now to make the country a better place. It needs to stop all this internal fighting and literal fighting, and actually get on with doing its job, and that is to be an opposition party, because goodness knows Labour's not going to do it. How
much reputational damage has been done to the party, though? I mean, you could accuse, I suppose, both of them of bringing the party into disrepute.
Yeah, that's against the party rules, and it's a phrase that's bandied around quite a lot, especially by people who want to get others kicked off leadership ballots, for instance, and there's all sorts of talk already going on in the background in UKIP, and my phone's ringing off the hook of people saying, oh, they're trying to kick Stephen off and this and that. I think it's unfair. I think, you know, you do have to look at having a full investigation into this. I think, you know, this is a human problem. It's an emotional problem that occurred yesterday. And you know, I think we're very quick in politics to forget that people are human beings. We're very quick to forget that we all make errors. So I want to hear what actually happened, and then I'll comment about what I think should be done.
Right. I mean, it's been reported that one of the things that caused the tension to sort of spill out in the meeting or outside the meeting was Stephen Wolf's comments that he'd held discussions about possibly defecting to the Conservatives. Can someone credibly stand to be UKIP leader so soon after considering leaving the party?
Do you know what? That's a really interesting question, and it's one that I've wrestled with inside my head since I heard this.
And the answer?
I like Stephen a lot. He's a good personal friend of mine. I think he may have made a judgment error in speaking to the Conservative Party. I think a lot of people in the party have been thinking about these things as well. Members, we know, some members have been joining the Conservative Party over recent weeks.
Can he credibly stand, then?
I think he can, to be honest with you. I think he can. I think he's good enough of heart to know when he's made a mistake and move on from it. And I would like to see Stephen in the race.
How long have you been a member of UKIP?
So I was a member, well, do you mean consecutively or in total?
No, I think consecutively, up until now.
OK, yeah, consecutively, I joined at the last leadership election, so about 2 months ago now. Before that, I'd been a member, I think, for about 18 months, and I had a lapse in membership of, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, I don't know.
Is that going to make it difficult for you to stand? Because according to UKIP's rule book, you need to have been a party member for 2 years, and I presume 2 years consecutively in order to stand for the leadership.
It's not actually clear. There are two party rule books floating around the internet. One says 28 days and one says 2 years. The NEC obviously tried to put this 5-year rule in last time. They ended up with a 2-year rule.
Right.
I think the point is this. This is a really important election for UKIP, and I think it should be an open contest. I think anybody who has good ideas for the party should be able to stand. I think, you know, this is an existential crisis moment, and I think if the NEC start their chicanery again, all they're doing is bringing focus back on themselves as to why the party needs drastic reform. So
right, but I mean, you say it's chicanery, and you complained a little earlier in the interview about using excuses to kick other people out of the party or suspend them. But I mean, you said in a radio interview that if you're elected, Neil Hamilton, UKIP's leader in the Welsh Assembly, would be the second person out of the door. So you want to do the same thing. Who's the first, by the way?
The first would be Douglas Carswell.
Right.
But I said
so
that...
you want to kick people out of the party?
Oh, yeah, look, there's no doubt. I'm not going to hide the fact, and everybody knows that I'm somebody who thinks that there are certain people in the party that are setting out to do the party harm intentionally. I believe that. But after yesterday's incident, I did also speak to Ian Dale at LBC, and I said to him, look, this makes me pause, and this makes me think. We need a moment to come together. We need a moment to actually sit around a table and try and hammer out our grievances and our differences. If at that point we all still realise that we can't get along, then somebody needs to stand up and say, well, either you go or we go, or something has to happen here to solve this problem.
All right.
But I do think from the outset, I'll extend the hand of friendship. Let's all sit down and try and hammer these problems out.
Right, so no more threats of kicking people out of the party just as yet. Just bear with us, Raheem Kassam. What's your view on how likely it is that the party can come together? Do you think it'll still be around in a couple of years' time?
I am not convinced, to tell you the truth, which I think is a great pity, because I think there's absolutely a space for a political party or movement that holds the government's feet to the fire. We've seen what a mess Labour is in. Here's hoping that they manage to form a really credible, robust opposition, but it isn't there. So many people voted for the UK Independence Party at the last election, so there are a lot of people who are very sympathetic to its aims. It has arguably been tremendously successful in achieving its primary purpose. That doesn't mean there isn't a space for it to do more, but I think the current setup, the people, the individuals, all the baggage, the history, the problems with money, the problems with discipline, feels to me as if show's over.
Right. And what do you think about Raheem Kassam in terms of being a potential leader?
Well, I mean, Raheem Kassam has been around UKIP for a very long time. I'm not really interested, personally, as a kind of layperson, in how many months he has or hasn't been a technical member of the party.
But there have to be rules, I suppose, don't there?
Well, there are all sorts of rules, and rules are causing all sorts of grief at the moment for the party as to whether you can or can't punch each other. So I think Raheem
Presumably there's usually a sort of consensus around no punching from political party rule books.
You would hope so. Raheem has been around UKIP for a very long time. I'm sure he should very much be involved in any leadership context. My feeling is I'm not sure why anyone would actually want to lead this party.
Well, why do you want to lead it at the moment, bearing in mind how difficult it is? And you yourself have said there may be a possibility it just can't come together.
Yeah, I think Isabel is completely correct. I think there is no opposition in this country at the moment, and there needs to be some serious political opposition in this country at the moment. We can't have a one-party state. We can't have a Theresa May who's trying to be UKIP for 2.5 years to siphon off all the UKIP members, and then turns on her head when she's got an election coming up, and then she has to fight Jeremy Corbyn.
But she obviously did convince quite a number of UKIPers, obviously, or if not personally, her leadership has convinced them to defect and join the Conservative Party. On your leadership, many people...
Yeah, and they're going to come back under my leadership.
Right, well, many people have linked you to Nigel Farage's comments during the general election, during the debates about HIV patients who are foreign nationals. Yeah. Alex Phillips, UKIP's former head of media, said you described the comments as shock and awe. Is that true?
Yeah.
You did?
I actually described them as shocking and awful.
Right. And do you still stand by those comments, then? And that he should have raised them in that debate?
I don't know what you mean, still stand by them. The point is, Nigel Farage got up on stage and unbeknownst to any of us, he made this statement. The statement was one of complete fact, by the way, and it was one that was intelligent to bring up in a discussion about the National Health Service, especially when we consider that the National Health Service is in some way, shape or form turning into an international health service. However, I totally agree with some people and commentators out there who said it could have been done in a different way. It could have been done in a more tactful way. This was a statement, and I'm not going to get into naming names and fighting again.
But it was about judgment, wasn't it?
No, well, hold on. No matter how much people are going to goad me into this, I'm not going to start naming names. But there were other people in the party who had briefed Nigel on that issue. It wasn't me. That's why I called it shocking and awful. And by the way, it was a kind of flippant turn of phrase I used in the spin room with some journalist friends afterwards. So I didn't appreciate the